Hi, Kathrin.
Hi, Bina.
It is a pleasure to have you here. And it was interesting since when I read your email after I made the big request. I've requested a lot from you recently for you to be part of my book and now to be part of the podcast. You shared, you're like, podcast, I'm not so sure. So I feel very happy and privileged that you decided to be a part of this. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking of me as you develop your book, this wonderful book, and also this podcast series.
Kathrin, when I think about the book and also what we're going to talk about today, you are definitely top of mind. I've known you for years, and we met volunteering, and I think that that's such a special way that people get to know each other as well, because it's a completely different relationship than when you work with someone. So you've always been a big inspiration to me. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm pleased now that to share more of those insights with others around the world who are going to be able to see this. Yeah. So tell me, what have you been up to? Because you've had a change in your career,
I
and
had a change in my career after I'm a pharmacist by training. After 3 years of international roles, challenging roles in the pharmaceutical industry, I have decided to switch gears and move into a portfolio career. And so now since 2.5 years, I do a mix of activities in active as a consultant, as an advisor, particularly for women-founded startups, which I love a lot, and also continue to volunteer to support women. So this seems to be a key red thread through my life.
yeah. And it's fantastic that you have more time to work on that right now as well. So I know that the last group that you also mentored, the feedback was really positive and they really valued that. And people are looking for that. So it's really great that you're building that community also for women leaders and women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think it's for me it was the perfect time now, and I can tell you that also the last years in my, let's say, a normal employee life, I've really tried to focus on things that give me energy, that inspire me, and that are very dear and near to my heart. So I now have the flexibility to do a little bit more of this.
Great. Well, as I've shared in a couple of previous videos, this is a mini podcast on three main questions. And so I'm excited to jump in and ask you these questions. And the first one is about big decisions that we all have in our lives. And oftentimes we can maybe have the desire to play it safe and to not maybe take some risks. And we often ask ourselves, what if I do this? What if I do this? What if I take this job? And I've changed that phrase around just a little bit. And I like to ask, what if I don't? What happens in our lives if we don't make some of these big decisions? And I would love if you could share a moment in your life when you were at that point to make a very significant decision for yourself. And you ask yourself, what if I don't do this? What's the impact of not taking the step?
Very good question. Thank you. And I was thinking about this in preparation, and I want to share one particularly important moment in my life, which was actually quite early in my life. So, as you know, but not everybody here listening to us today, I met my today beloved hubby very early. And actually, I met him when I was just finalizing school. So, during the Abitur, as we say in Germany. And so I met him, and the normal course of life would have been to go to university after, let's say, having finalized school and being ready to go to university. And actually, he inspired me to think differently and to do this differently and to take a break and to actually travel together. So when I decided that, so as I mentioned before, I'm a pharmacist. So I studied pharmacy, which actually has a quite high hurdle in Germany, or had at that time. I don't know how it is today, to actually get a seat at the university. university. And I was offered this seat, and I then decided, no, I don't take it. I'll do a break. And this is more than 4 decades ago. So many younger people today do this gap year, but at that time it was very rare in Germany. So this was a quite brave decision. And so the question, if I don't do this, I was probably mainly driven by the idea of really doing something different, doing, let's say, learning something, getting out of my comfort zone, and in particular also following curiosity. So I then worked for several months to earn enough money to be able to travel, and we then traveled together to Israel, and we both volunteered in a kibbutz on the Golan Heights. And this was so different to where I came from. I met wonderful people from it was a very small kibbutz. I met wonderful people from the US, from Australia, from other countries, and I really was exposed to this international way of thinking, very different surrounding in this area in Israel, and in particular with the Syria and Lebanon very close. This widened my horizon to the diversity of thinking and of living life in such an amazing way that I think it really influenced me as a person.
I know you pretty well, Kathrin. So I see that red thread through your life, that you and Mark do this often. You've taken sabbaticals, and I've always been really impressed actually that you've done that, because very few people, large companies, offer this to their employees. And the idea is, I think, to broaden, as you said, to broaden horizons, to broaden thinking. And so often you don't do that because you think, this is my career. I can't. If I take this sabbatical time, or if I go and do this, it'll have a negative impact on my career. And I believe that you've lived completely the opposite of that. That's
Yeah,
been beneficial.
absolutely. And I was also thinking about this as I was reflecting on some of these key questions in my life. Probably this first big decision, and in particular also going, let's say, to a completely unknown country, in a completely unknown setting, in a kibbutz in Israel, in a volunteer setting, in a Golan Heights, an area that was had been invaded by Israel. So also something very special and completely new to me, because it was such an amazing and long-lasting and probably also kind of personality building experience. At that time, I was not yet 20, that this gave me the, let's say, the courage and the robustness to again and again take some really, let's say, quite relevant decisions, and also do something that most people probably would not do, like taking a sabbatical in a time when it was not yet, let's say, standard, in particular when you are in a more advanced career position. Or I also took different jobs in the company that I don't know, that were completely new. So quite is some risk related to this.
Your career is a testament that those were definitely, thank goodness that you took those steps. And it makes me reflect again, just listening to your stories, that it's not always just what we learn day to day in our job, that these other experiences enrich us and actually make us better and potentially stronger to come back and have different perspectives when we step back into the roles that we have as an organization. So I guess the tip is for people to take on these opportunities if organizations provide it. And if you don't work at a company that does, maybe you take some time off anyway and go and do this. I love that. If you want to hear more about that, and I think that's one of the stories that I really love that you shared also in the book, and I won't give too many secrets away, but also that when you do this, you take this seriously and you make sure that you block that time for you. So very valuable. Thanks. That leads us to this next ripple, the question that I have around, we meet so many people that shape our lives and that impact our lives. And if you reflect now back on your career, is there someone in particular that really has stood out for you that you would like to thank? And if they were in front of you right now, how would you thank them for the impact that they've had on you?
Yeah, so I'm mainly, when I think about these questions, I always think about one individual. So I had many different jobs over my career. I had many different bosses, men and women, and I learned a lot from all of them. From some of them, I learned how to not do it, which is also important. And one was I still consider her my role model boss. And she had this wonderful mix of very empathic and people oriented way to interact with individuals, and also this business view, and always bringing, let's say, the business perspective and what's good for the business together with this very individual approach to persons, people. She was based in the US, so I was here in Germany. She was my line manager when I had my first leadership position, when I had to build a team, completely new team, built from scratch, and also a role that was actually quite challenging, and some topics that were not so easygoing. So I had to do a lot of stakeholder management and influencing. And she was so far away that I couldn't go to her every day and say, tell me what I should do or not do. So this, and her, let's say, her trust in me and she gave me, or that I perceived she was giving me, actually gave me a lot of strength and a lot of freedom to operate and do what I thought was the right thing for all these different topics. So this is why I learned a lot from her. I learned this wonderful blend of this people orientation and business focus, very clear and sharp business focus, and also the importance of providing a freedom to operate to people when you are in a leadership position, because this is where really people can be themselves, can test or try something new, and as long as it's within a given frame, then most people will be wonderful.
Do you want to share who it is?
Yes, her name is Nancy Wazensky. She lives, I think, still in North Carolina, and she actually also brought me to the HBA.
So the
Yes.
double positive bit
So
there.
she was the co-founder of the HBA, the Healthcare Business Women's Association's chapter in North Carolina at that time. They thought, wow, this is amazing and wonderful, an idea that women support women and come together to do this. And I said, whenever the HBA comes to Europe, I will get involved.
And boy, did you.
And I did.
Fantastic. So Nancy, we'll have to make sure that Nancy sees this. And I think it's so impactful that people hear that, because you go through your life and you live day to day and you don't necessarily know what an impact you have on individuals. And I think it's so nice and important to share that with them. Yeah. And that leads us to our last question. And it's about your legacy. And legacy oftentimes is associated when we're not here anymore. But I think that that's actually not the case. We live our legacy right now. Everything that we do is part of the legacy that people remember us by. And if you had to pick one thing or one ripple that you would like to be remembered by, what would that be?
I would love to be remembered by the support and encouragement I gave to other women to be the best version of themselves, find their strength, to build on their strength, identify their path and their priority in life. It doesn't necessarily need to be a career advancement. It can be career advancement, but it can also be something else. So I would love to have contributed to empowering other women. That's my key topic, and I feel I'm already have already done a little bit of this legacy building, at least some of the feedback I've received over the years. So, and I will continue to do this because it really is so energy and fulfillment rich for me.
You certainly have, Kathrin, because I talk to a lot of people that know you. I can count on many hands the times that your name has been raised, and already the impact that you had, that you opened a door, that you made an introduction. And those are all pieces of our legacy, that you've introduced someone that someone could work together, or that brought them into the organization, or that they made a change in their life. So you're definitely living your legacy. I can tell you firsthand.
Wonderful.
And One other thing that you're doing too is that you recently won an award with the HBA, and I think that that's also a very strong signal that you're living that legacy
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
uplifting
was
other women.
very honored to receive this special award last year.
Well, thank you. And as always, it's a treat to talk to you. And I do always still learn something new, I have to say, every time I talk to you. So that's
Interesting.
nice too. Yeah, I do. So I always there's something else that pops into my mind. And actually the beginning, the questions, I mean, I knew that you had taken these steps, but I didn't know the details of the first step that you took with Mark when you went on that. So yeah, and how impactful that is to broaden our horizons. It's really important.
Absolutely. Well, also a big thank you for me. It has been a pleasure to have this chat with you, and I wish you all the best on your journey. And I'm sure there will be other exciting ripple stories that you already have lined up, like a string of pearls for to get inspired and learn from each other and support each other.
Yeah, that's the key that we continue to do that. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for having me, and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Kathrin, bye.